Have you ever wondered why the weight of life feels heavier than it should? Why, despite all our striving and planning, there remains an ache, a longing for something greater to intervene? This is no accident. It is a whisper from the soul, reminding us of the one who created it. You see, we often view our challenges as puzzles to be solved by sheer intellect or determination. Yet, in those moments of despair, when the pieces don't fit, and our own strength fails, it becomes evident that we were never designed to journey alone. It is here, in the crucible of our need, that we discover the profound importance of inviting God into our situation. But why invite Him? Is He not already present? True, God is everywhere, yet His presence in your life is as active as your willingness to make space for Him. This is the paradox of divine love. Though omnipotent, He waits. God does not force Himself into our lives, He longs for an invitation, for love, at its core, requires freedom. To invite God is to recognize that our wisdom is limited, our vision partial. It is to admit that we do not see the whole tapestry, only the tangled threads. But God sees the design, the beauty emerging from chaos. And when you invite Him, something extraordinary happens. He doesn't merely resolve the problem, He reshapes your understanding of it. What seemed like a loss reveals itself as preparation. What felt like delay becomes a moment of growth. This is not an invitation to passivity. To invite God is not to relinquish responsibility, but to reframe it. It is to work alongside Him, drawing from His strength while offering your effort. This partnership transforms your situation because it transforms you. Suddenly the burden is lighter, not because the load has changed, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. When you invite God, you align your life with a higher purpose. You discover peace that surpasses understanding, not because the storm has ended, but because you are no longer its slave. In Him, you find wisdom to navigate the unknown and courage to face the impossible. Life, for all its beauty and promise, is undeniably marked by challenges that test the limits of human strength and understanding. These challenges are not rare occurrences, but universal experiences woven into the fabric of existence. They appear in various forms: physical struggles, emotional turmoil, relational conflicts, and spiritual voids. Regardless of our background or status, no one escapes the weight of these trials. This shared reality binds humanity, making the human predicament a central theme of life itself. At the heart of this predicament lies a profound truth: humans are finite beings navigating an often infinite-seeming complexity. We possess remarkable intellect, creativity, and resilience, yet even these gifts have their limits. Consider the countless moments when we've leaned on our understanding only to find it insufficient. The greatest minds in history, for all their advancements, could not eliminate the mysteries of suffering, the inevitability of loss, or the longing for something greater than ourselves. This limitation is not a flaw, but a feature of our design. Our inability to fully grasp or control the circumstances of life points to a deeper truth, one that we are often reluctant to acknowledge. It suggests that the solutions we seek cannot be entirely self-made. Even our most triumphant achievements, when viewed through the lens of eternity, reveal an underlying incompleteness. We build towers to the heavens, but they do not touch the eternal. We seek fulfillment in wealth, relationships, or personal success, yet these pursuits often leave us thirsting for more. The weight of life's struggles becomes heavier when isolation enters the equation. In modern society, independence is often celebrated, even idolized. The belief that we must face every challenge alone is deeply ingrained in many cultures. People hesitate to seek help, fearing it signals weakness. And yet, this pursuit of self-sufficiency often leads to a profound sense of loneliness. We bear our burdens in silence, unaware that the isolation we embrace only deepens the ache in our souls. But why does human effort, however earnest, fall short? One answer lies in the fragmented nature of our understanding. Life is a vast tapestry, and we see only a fraction of it. We judge events by their immediate impact, unable to perceive their long-term purpose. A door closing feels like failure when it may be redirection. A loss feels like the end when it may be the beginning of something greater. This limited perspective often leads to frustration, despair, and an endless cycle of striving. The predicament becomes more evident when we encounter suffering that defies explanation. Natural disasters, chronic illness, or unexpected tragedy remind us that some forces are beyond our control. In these moments, the illusion of self-sufficiency shatters. People often question their beliefs, asking why me or what did I do to deserve this. These questions, though natural, highlight our instinctive need for answers that transcend the material world. The human predicament is not solely about external challenges. It also involves an internal struggle, a tension between who we are and who we long to be. There is a universal sense of falling short, of being less than what we know we could become. This inner conflict, often described as the gap between the real and the ideal, reveals a deep yearning for something greater than ourselves. It is as though our very souls carry the imprint of eternity, reminding us that we were made for more than the fleeting joys and sorrows of this world. Throughout history, humanity has sought to address this predicament through various means. Philosophy, science, and art have all attempted to provide answers. While they offer valuable insights, they cannot fully satisfy the deep questions of meaning, purpose, and identity. Even religion, in its many forms, often emphasizes rituals and rules over relationship, leaving people burdened rather than liberated. The result is a world filled with people striving for peace but seldom finding it. The human heart remains restless, yearning for a solution that no earthly endeavor can provide. This restlessness is not a sign of failure, but a clue to our true nature. It points to the idea that we were not meant to navigate life's challenges alone, nor were we meant to rely solely on our strength. Instead, this ache within us, this shared human predicament, serves as an invitation to seek beyond ourselves, to discover the one who holds the answers we cannot. Thus, the human predicament is both a challenge and a revelation. It exposes our limitations while pointing us to something greater, something beyond the seen and the temporal. It calls us to consider that perhaps our struggles are not merely obstacles to overcome, but opportunities to realign our perspective, to look upward, and to invite the divine into the story of our lives. The nature of God's presence is unlike any force or entity known to humanity. It is both transcendent and immanent, existing beyond the bounds of time and space, yet intimately near to each individual. This paradox of grandeur and closeness is what makes God's presence so transformative. To understand it fully requires a shift from viewing God as a distant observer to recognizing Him as an active participant in our lives. One of the most profound aspects of God's presence is its enduring nature. Unlike human relationships, which may falter or fade, God's presence is steadfast. He promises never to leave nor forsake us, irrespective of our circumstances. This assurance stands in stark contrast to the fleeting reliability of worldly sources of comfort. While friends may offer support and material resources may provide temporary stability, they are ultimately limited. God's presence, however, remains constant, serving as an unshakable foundation even in the most turbulent times. This enduring nature of His presence is rooted in His character. God's love is unconditional, His power limitless, and His wisdom unfathomable. These attributes define how He interacts with humanity. Unlike human helpers, who may act out of obligation or self-interest, God intervenes in our lives out of pure love. His presence is not transactional but relational. He does not enter our lives to gain something in return, but to offer himself as the ultimate source of life, hope, and restoration. Another remarkable aspect of God's presence is its adaptability to every situation. Whether one is navigating joy or sorrow, triumph or defeat, God's presence meets us precisely where we are. For the broken-hearted, he is a source of comfort. For the lost, he is a guide. For the weary, he offers rest. This adaptability underscores the depth of his care. God does not approach every situation with a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, his presence responds uniquely to the individual's needs, bringing exactly what is required in that moment. God's presence is also transformative. It does not merely observe or sympathize, but actively reshapes circumstances and, more importantly, the person experiencing them. When God enters a situation, he brings clarity where there was confusion, strength where there was weakness, and purpose where there was despair. This transformation often begins internally, as God works to realign our thoughts and emotions with his truth. Through his presence, we begin to see our challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and deeper reliance on him. One of the most powerful illustrations of God's presence is light. Just as light dispels darkness, God's presence drives out fear, doubt, and despair. Darkness, by its nature, cannot withstand light, and in the same way the struggles of life cannot overshadow the power of God's presence. This metaphor also highlights how God's presence brings revelation. In his light we see things as they truly are. What once seemed hopeless or meaningless gains new perspective and purpose. Despite the transformative power of God's presence, it does not always manifest in dramatic or miraculous ways. Often, it is experienced in quiet, subtle moments of peace that settles over a troubled heart, a sense of assurance in the midst of uncertainty, or the realization of a solution to a seemingly impossible problem. These moments reveal that God's presence is not confined to grand displays, but is woven into the ordinary fabric of life. God's presence is also communal. While it is deeply personal, it is not meant to be experienced in isolation. Through community, whether in families, friendships, or congregations, God's presence becomes tangible. The encouragement of a friend, the prayers of a loved one, or the shared worship of a community are all ways in which his presence manifests. This communal aspect reminds us that God often works through people, using them as vessels of his love and grace. At its core, the nature of God's presence is relational. He does not merely offer solutions to problems, he offers himself. This is a critical distinction. While human instinct often focuses on fixing issues, God's presence addresses the deeper need of the heart, the longing to be known and loved. In this way, his presence is not just a means to an end, but the ultimate end itself. God's presence carries with it the promise of hope. No matter how dire the situation, his involvement assures us that the story is not over. His presence guarantees that there is a greater purpose at work, even when it is not immediately visible. This hope is not wishful thinking, but a confident expectation rooted in his character and promises. The nature of God's presence is an invitation to experience life differently. It is a call to move from self-reliance to trust, from fear to faith, and from isolation to intimacy with the one who holds all things together. At the heart of the relationship between God and humanity lies a profound principal invitation. God, though all-powerful, does not impose himself upon anyone. Instead, he patiently waits to be invited into our lives and situations. This necessity of invitation is not due to his limitations, but is a reflection of his respect for our free will and his desire for authentic relationship rather than coercion. The purpose of inviting God into our lives is not to relinquish responsibility, but to foster partnership. Life is not a solitary endeavor, nor is it meant to be lived in isolation from the one who created it. By extending an invitation to God, we acknowledge our dependence on Him, not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of wisdom. This invitation shifts the focus from self-reliance to divine reliance, opening the door to a collaboration that brings strength, clarity, and purpose. When we invite God, we are not asking Him to merely fix our problems or provide us with what we think we need. Instead, we are inviting Him to align our lives with His greater plan. This requires humility, a recognition that our understanding is limited and that His ways are higher than ours. Through this act of humility, we create space for God to work in ways that far surpass our expectations. His solutions are not only effective but transformative, addressing not just the symptoms of our struggles but their root causes. The invitation also serves to deepen our relationship with God. It is through the act of inviting Him that we cultivate trust. Trust, after all, is built through intentional interaction. By involving God in our daily lives, we learn to lean on Him and experience His faithfulness firsthand. This dynamic strengthens the bond between Creator and creation, turning what might have been a distant acknowledgement of God into an intimate, personal connection. Another purpose of invitation is to align our will with God's will. In asking Him to intervene, we submit our desires, plans, and timelines to His greater wisdom. This alignment often reveals that what we thought we needed may not be what is best for us. God, in His infinite understanding, sees the whole picture: the past, the present, and the future. By inviting Him, we allow Him to guide us toward outcomes that not only benefit us but also align with His larger purpose for the world. Invitation also transforms our perspective on challenges. When we face difficulties without God, we tend to view them as obstacles or punishments. However, when we invite Him into these situations, we begin to see them through the lens of growth and refinement. God uses even the most painful experiences to shape our character, build resilience, and draw us closer to Him. This shift in perspective doesn't necessarily remove the difficulty, but it redefines its meaning, turning it into an opportunity for deeper understanding and faith. The act of inviting God also brings freedom. Many people carry the weight of their struggles alone, believing they must have all the answers or solve every problem on their own. This mindset leads to exhaustion, frustration, and often despair. However, when we invite God into our situations, we transfer the weight of these burdens onto His shoulders. He offers to share the load, giving us rest and peace in exchange for our trust. This freedom is not an escape from responsibility, but a liberation from the anxiety of handling life's complexities alone. The invitation is an acknowledgement of God's sovereignty. By asking Him to intervene, we recognize that He has the authority and power to influence every aspect of our lives. This act of surrender is not a loss of control, but an act of faith, trusting that the one who holds the universe together can also hold the details of our lives. It is a declaration that His wisdom surpasses ours and that His plans are ultimately for our good. The purpose of invitation is not confined to individual benefit. When we invite God into our lives, His work within us often overflows into the lives of others. Our experiences of His faithfulness, provision, and transformation become testimonies that encourage and inspire those around us. This ripple effect demonstrates that God's intervention is never solely about us. It is part of a broader tapestry of redemption and restoration. The invitation serves as a reminder of our identity. By involving God in our lives, we affirm that we are not independent entities striving for meaning, but children of a loving Father who desires the best for us. This realization shapes how we approach every aspect of life. instilling a sense of purpose and belonging that transcends circumstances. Thus, the act of inviting God is far more than a momentary decision. It is a deliberate, ongoing posture of the heart. It opens the door to a partnership that transforms not only situations, but the very core of who we are. When we invite God into our lives and actively engage in a partnership with Him, the results are profound and far-reaching. This divine partnership is not merely about seeking divine intervention in moments of crisis, but about developing a relationship that continually transforms our perspective, our actions, and our very being. The fruits of this partnership are both visible and invisible, unfolding in ways that bring lasting change and deeper fulfillment. One of the primary fruits of divine partnership is clarity. Life can often feel chaotic and disorienting, particularly when faced with significant challenges. In our natural state, we are prone to confusion, uncertainty, and doubt. But when we invite God into our situations, His presence brings a sense of order to our thoughts and emotions. Through the guidance of the Holy Spirit, we begin to see beyond the surface of our struggles, discerning the deeper meaning and purpose behind them. Problems that once appeared overwhelming may become opportunities for growth, and decisions that seemed difficult become clearer when viewed through the lens of God's wisdom. This clarity helps us to navigate life's complexities with confidence, knowing that we are not alone in our journey. Alongside clarity, the partnership with God brings peace. The world offers many sources of temporary peace, pleasures, distractions, and accomplishments, but these often leave us empty, as they do not address the deeper unrest of the soul. When we invite God into our lives, His peace transcends human understanding, guarding our hearts and minds even in the midst of turmoil. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but is rooted in the assurance that God is with us, guiding us through every storm. It is a peace that settles deep within, quieting the anxiety and fear that often accompany uncertainty. This inner peace allows us to approach life's challenges, not from a place of anxiety, but from a place of trust in God's sovereignty and care. Another significant fruit is strength. Life's difficulties can drain us, leaving us feeling weak, fatigued, and incapable of moving forward. Yet when we invite God into our struggles, He infuses us with supernatural strength. This is not strength born of our own abilities, but a strength that comes from God, enabling us to endure hardships with perseverance and grace. This divine strength equips us to face challenges that would otherwise be beyond our capacity, providing us with the energy and resolve to keep going. Moreover, God's strength often becomes most apparent in our moments of weakness, demonstrating that His power is made perfect in our vulnerability. Through this partnership, we learn that we do not have to rely solely on our own resources, but can tap into the limitless strength that God offers. The transformation of character is another fruit of partnering with God. When we invite God into our lives, He does not simply fix our problems, He works within us to change our hearts and minds. This transformation is gradual but profound, as God shapes us into the people He created us to be. He cultivates virtues such as patience, kindness, humility, and self-control, molding us into individuals who reflect His nature. Over time, we begin to look more like Him, and our actions become an outward expression of the inward work He is doing. This transformation affects every area of our lives, from our relationships with others to our approach to work, finances, and personal challenges. The more we invite God to work in us, the more we become the kind of people who not only survive life's difficulties, but thrive in them. To inner transformation, divine partnership also yields fruitful relationships. When God is at the center of our lives, He becomes the source of love and wisdom that enriches our relationships with others. We are better equipped to love, forgive, and serve others because we are drawing from the limitless love that God has for us. As our relationship with God deepens, it overflows into our interactions with those around us. This results in healthier, more meaningful connections, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, built on mutual respect, understanding, and care. We also begin to see others through God's eyes, which allows us to be more compassionate, patient, and forgiving. These transformed relationships become a powerful testimony to the goodness of God's presence in our lives. Another fruit of divine partnership is purpose. In a world where many people are searching for meaning, the partnership with God provides a clear sense of direction. When we invite God into our lives, we align ourselves with His greater purpose for the world. We no longer live aimlessly or seek fulfillment in fleeting achievements. Instead, we are guided by a sense of divine calling, which gives every moment significance. Whether in small, everyday tasks or larger life decisions, we begin to see that our actions are part of a bigger picture, a divine story unfolding. This sense of purpose brings fulfillment and joy, knowing that our lives are contributing to something eternal and meaningful. The partnership with God brings hope, a hope that does not rest on circumstances, but on the unchanging nature of God's promises. Life is filled with uncertainties, and at times it may seem like all hope is lost. However, when we are in partnership with God, our hope is rooted in His faithfulness, His ability to redeem any situation, and His promise to work all things for good. Even in moments of despair, this hope sustains us, reminding us that our struggles are not the end of the story. God is at work, even when we cannot see it, and He will bring about a resolution in His perfect timing. Thus, the fruits of divine partnership are abundant and life-changing. As we invite God into our lives, we receive clarity, peace, strength, transformation, fruitful relationships, purpose, and hope. These fruits not only enrich our own lives, but also impact those around us, creating a ripple effect of divine grace that extends far beyond our individual circumstances.